Shabbat Shalom. It goes without saying that we are living in extraordinary times. Because our building at Road of Sholem is closed for services and other activities, I find that this might be the best way to communicate my thoughts with you in the form of a sermon on this Shabbat of Vayakhel Pekudei. But before I even begin, I'd like to ask for your patience and understanding, maybe even forgiveness, because this is a first for me. I've never done something like this. Consider it an experiment, and I will do my best. And whatever shortcomings or defects you might find in this presentation, I hope you will bear with me and be a little bit forgiving and compassionate, as I'm sure you would be anyways. So here we go. Vayakhel Pekudei constitute the last two portions of the book of Shemot, the book of Exodus. Next week we will begin reading the book of Vayikra, the book of Leviticus. Last week, in synagogues throughout the world, the Torah portion of Ki Tisa was read. And one of the most notable aspects of that Torah portion is the fact that it includes the incident of the Egel HaZahav, the golden calf. As part of the chronology of that incident, after they build the golden calf, as you all know, Moses descends the mountain with the Shtei Luchot, with the tablets in his hands, and upon seeing the actions of the people and their faithfulness and disloyalty, he proceeds to smash the tablets in anger. At that time, the Levites, who are armed with a kind of a zealous faith, take vengeance upon the people who committed the idolatry. 3,000 are slain, and also God brings a plague upon the people at the same time. After that occurs, Moses goes back up to the mountain and proceeds to receive the second set of the tablets of the Ten Commandments. According to Rashi, the great medieval Torah commentator, and here Rashi is following upon a tradition of commentators who preceded him in the Midrash and in the interpretations of the Torah text. Rashi suggests that when Moses descends the mountain with the second set of the Ten Commandments, on that day, that actual day, was the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur. According to the Torah, on that day, God forgave the people of Israel and decided that God was going to give the people a new lease, a new opportunity to start again and to move forward. That day, the Day of Atonement, was immediately followed by the beginning of our Torah portion, according to Rashi. Vayakhel, Moses, gathered, Vayakhel, all the people of Israel, and then proceeded to instruct them and begin to carry out all of the laws and procedures, and they were extremely intricate regarding the construction of the tabernacle, the Mishkan, in the desert. So think for a moment about the chronology. First, you have the great apostasy, the idolatry of the golden calf, followed by a plague, God granting the people atonement, forgiveness. According to Rashi and the commentators, the observance of that kind of day of heightened awareness and regret followed by forgiveness and atonement. And that was followed immediately by the beginning of the building of the Mishkan, of the tabernacle. To me, the chronology is really quite amazing, considering the reality of the times that we are living in today. First, I want to totally separate the idea of sin or idolatry or anything like that with what is going on today with COVID-19. I do not for 1 minute believe that we or the world or innocent people are being punished for anything with this horrible pandemic. It is a terrible virus. It has scientific and biological explanations to it that even to some of the most brilliant scientists in the world remain mysterious. But we know how serious and how terrible it is. And in my view, it is not happening as any kind of punishment or retribution for whatever we may have done. Having said that, though, we are living in the age of a plague upon our communities, a plague upon our houses. I don't need to even begin to describe to you the disruption, the changes that we are going through right now. And at the same time, of course, we pray for the safety, the health of all of us, as well as the recovery of all those who have been stricken. So having said that, I want to just move on for a moment with the idea that we are today living through a kind of a Yom Kippur, a kind of a Day of Atonement, in the following sense. According to the book of Leviticus, the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur, is meant to be a day in which we are to afflict our souls. Inui nefesh in Hebrew, affliction of our souls. And we do that by not only fasting, but by refraining from a whole variety of pleasurable activities. I won't go into the details of those right now, but let me just say that we are right now living through a time where everything has changed. We have to make sacrifices. Life is not as it has been, and many of us are feeling compelled to stay home, avoid going outside. Obviously, we can't be going to restaurants and bars and cinema and theater and entertainment, nothing like that. We have to completely pull in within ourselves, and we have to afflict our souls in the sense of giving up and sacrificing many of the things that we are accustomed to in our everyday lives. And that is not easy. That is difficult. But Yom Kippur and the Day of Atonement is not meant to be easy. It is meant to be difficult. The whole idea of wishing somebody an easy fast, if you think about it more carefully, flies in the face of the real meaning of Yom Kippur, a day on which we are to afflict our souls, on which we are to feel to some degree the pangs of hunger, the discomfort of not having the ability to eat and to drink for that long period of time, 26, 27 hours. So it is not meant to be easy. And what we are going through now is not easy. It is difficult. It is symbolically a kind of a Day of Atonement for us, in which we not only give up things and sacrifice things, but we also take time to reflect and think about our relationship with God and our relationship with our families and with one another. But what comes on the heels of the Day of Atonement, according to that old commentary of Rashi? After the plague, after the Day of Atonement, immediately thereafter you have the word Vayakhel, assembly. Moses assembled the people. Kehilah means congregation. A synagogue is called a kihila. Technically, I suppose, our synagogue, Rodef Shalom, would be called Kihilat Rodef Shalom, the congregation of Rodef Shalom, a place where we gather, where we are together. But now we don't have a physical gathering place in the meantime, until this virus is over. Instead, we have a kind of a virtual gathering place through cyberspace, through the internet, through the ability, or your ability, to watch me and to listen to my words as I share these with you on this Shabbat. What does it mean to come together and to gather in the face of this plague, in the face of all the sacrifices that we are making now? The gathering has to do with our ability to reach out to one another, to use the phone, email, Facebook, and social media, or whatever means you might choose to connect and reconnect with one another. Pick up the phone and call a friend who you haven't spoken with in a long time. Reach out to someone who is older and maybe more vulnerable to this particular plague. Be sure that they have what they need, and at the very least, offer them words of chizuk, of support and encouragement and strength. Even if you are worried about your own safety, even if you are among the vulnerable, as incidentally I am, since I'm 67 years old and have a few other conditions here or there that might make me a little more vulnerable, rather than allowing ourselves to be so self-absorbed to the point of anxiety, fear, and panic about ourselves, let yourself take a moment to go outside of you and reach out to someone else who you feel may be vulnerable. And in that sense, you are fulfilling this mitzvah of Vayakhel, gathering together, congregating with others, even if it isn't physically, but spiritually, by use of our brilliant technology that we have available to us today. And I want to share with you one final thought on this subject. Remember that the people were asked to gather for the purpose of a sacred task, to build a mishkan, a tabernacle. That tabernacle would be carried by the people throughout their wanderings in the desert, eventually for 40 years through their wanderings. And that tabernacle would represent God's dwelling place among the people. We read in the Torah portion of Trumah just a few weeks ago, God tells Moshe and the people, V'asuli mikdash v'shachanti b'tocham. Build me a tabernacle, a sanctuary, that I may dwell among them, among the people. My feeling is that if we use this opportunity to build something meaningful in terms of our interpersonal relations and bridging the spiritual gap that isolates and separates people from each other, if we are able through virtual reality to build a kind of a tabernacle or sanctuary of interconnectedness, one with the other, if we are able to do that, and when we are able to do that, we bring God's presence into our midst. And with God in our midst, we are given the strength and the hope to continue forward each and every day. Mordecai Kaplan, the founder of Reconstructionism, taught that the Spirit of God and the reality of God essentially is the force behind mankind's ethical progress towards perfection. I would add that the Spirit of God is also the force and power behind our ability to go outside of ourselves and our own individual and personal needs and to think about the needs of our fellow human beings. The power and Spirit of God is behind our ability to truly care for and love one another. And every moment and every time we build those bridges of love and connection amongst ourselves and between ourselves, we are bringing the presence of God into our lives, into our homes, our communities, into our midst. May God grant each and every one of us the strength, the commitment, the openness, and the open-hearted love to be able to strengthen one another through these dark times. Shabbat Shalom.